Happy Friday and welcome to today's LinkedIn Live session. I'm joined by the best, Melissa Palmer. How are you?
I'm good, Rick. How are you? I hear we had a little bit of a busy week here at Veeam. I don't know. It was a little busy, a little crazy. Some big stuff happened.
A little something going on this week. And that's really our topic today. And anybody watching this today on LinkedIn, anyone who has been following Veeam probably knows we had an amazing week. We'll get to that in a second, but we also really care about you as the attendees here today. Let us know in the chat where you're from, where you're joining us from. We need to blow up the application here. I was told that the midweek show had 38 countries.
Yeah, so we need more than 38 countries. So everybody drop a comment, let us know where you're from, and we'll give you a shout out and show everything on a map. We want to see the whole world being green for this crazy event we're having.
We're not going to stop the stream until it's 38 plus 11, so 49, right? That's where we're going today. So
we're going to turn it up to 11.
Well, no, that's
how many times can we say turn it up to 11 today? I'm just
I don't get that reference. Never
mind.
Anyways. Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Isn't that the sport where
amplifier goes up to 11?
They like play hockey on the ice with it or something? No, that's something else. Anyways.
Moving along.
I don't
always translates anywhere, even in the US.
I don't do many fun things, but we are going to talk about V11. What we're going to try to do is kind of compress everything that's happened this week into.
There's been a lot.
It has been a lot. Compress it all into some really specific actionable information. So what I'm not going to do is talk about all the new features in the promo, the kind of promotional material. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to go into specific, what I call blocking and tackling. So let's go over to the screen share real quick. And we are going to first start with a new thing that we've done. So a couple of weeks ago, we had Ksenia, KZ, I like to call her, on, and we talked about the new community site. And one of the things that we spoke about was an opportunity to have like an upgrade center. So I committed to having this new product over on the community center at community.veeam.com with an upgrade center guide, like a kind of real specific things that you need to do. And the thought is we have all the documentation, Melissa, like, the different things you can read.
Yeah, Veeam's documentation is excellent. So first of all, there's always a what's new document for every release, which goes into nitty-gritty detail of the amazing new features. That's a don't miss. And then we have our help center, right, which basically has, the detailed walkthroughs of how to configure backup and replication. I know the first time I personally had to configure Veeam, I just basically followed the documentation and I was good to go. So Veeam is very good about documentation, and we're going to point out where you can find everything you need. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out one document that's probably not in this list that you should think of. Change control, right? If you have to do a change control in your environment before you upgrade, please follow that process. I know you're probably very excited to go to V11. We are too, but don't forget that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. One of the things I'll highlight here is that this resource, the Upgrade Center, it was actually a request that came from our tech support team. They were like, every time we have a release, there's this like number one most requested case or most entered case is how do I upgrade? What do you think the number two question is, Melissa? Number two most popular case that comes with a major release.
How do I put in a new license file if I need
That's
one?
Right. That's right. And so what we wanted to do was kind of fix both of those. So the best thing going for the licensing is what? The universal license. And super simple. And the best part is it actually works with your V10 universal license. So you don't even need to do anything.
Do you mean it just works, Rick?
It just works. It's funny. All this like museum of Veeam I have here in my office, I need to find one of the it just works and pull it back. I probably have it. I'm pretty sure I do. And then the other is how do I upgrade? So we wanted to have this kind of aggregated resource here. So good stuff. So we got some information here on the map. Let's go over to the mapplication in just a moment, but keep letting us know where you're from. So we got to beat the map. Last week or this week, a couple days ago, Michael, David, and Anthony had 38. We gotta beat it. So we've got a good number of people on. Please keep letting us know in the application. But anyways, so this resource here, one thing I want to highlight is that we have, like I said, all of the different help center type links and stuff identified for you, but we also have the specifics on how you can enter a case, right? So if you need to update a case, if you need to get into some of your licensing, all of that is in there. But what I did a little trick, Melissa.
Ooh.
What comes before GA when it comes to the product release?
RTM.
And RTM stands for?
Release to manufacturing for our service provider partners. So they have an opportunity to start upgrading everything before all the customers start upgrading to GA.
Exactly. And if we read the word from GhostDev, we know that is actually fully supported for those service providers. So what I did as a little bit of a trick is I actually checked with support and said, hey, give me a summary of all the top cases through RTM.
Oh, that was a good idea.
That was a good idea.
That was pretty good.
And it inspired what I've entered here in the Upgrade Center. So I kind of I want to pre-handle some of the top things that people are going to stub their toe on potentially. And the one that I wanted to draw everyone's attention to is the CDP proxies. All right. So this is one of those, cornerstone new capabilities with V11. A lot of times people are just throwing it in and not meeting the requirements.
Don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a link to that specific area about the CDP proxies. So again, I want to just kind of pre-handle all of those different things. So check this out at community.veeam.com, and we've pinned it up at the top, the Upgrade Center for V11. It's a great launching.
There's an acronym in technology, and I'm not going to say it, that people like to use because no one ever wants to read the documentation, right? Like no one ever wants to do it. Like I want to go download the ISO, click, boom, and see what I blow up, right? That's what our kind of tendency is as IT people. But remember, in a production environment, you don't want to do that. You want to take your time, read the release notes. The what's new is a really good read with all the detailed new features. You might find stuff in there that you're like, oh, wow, I could really use this. And I didn't know it was in there. It's full of gems. Right. And then we also have the upgrade guides, right? So we have the upgrade guide for vSphere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just take a quick read through it. It's all really easy to use. And just make sure you're prepared, right? Make sure you're prepared.
Read the friendly manual. That's what you were thinking of, right? RTFM?
Yes, the friendly manual. That's a good one, the friendly manual.
All right. The map is ready. So let's transition over to the mapplication. And thank you all for letting us know, but we got a long way to go. So please, if you don't see your country,
keep them coming.
Keep them coming. So big shout out to Mexico, bienvenidos, Romania, Dubai, India, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana. Oh, look at that. We're all like Midwestern love right there. I like that. Georgia, Portugal, France, Egypt, Saudi, Argentina, Indiana, Germany, UAE, Mauritius. That might be a first. Poland. I might have missed everybody, but welcome everyone. India. Just sent an email. The email right before this show I sent to our team in India. There was someone that attended the launch event. So definitely, we're going to come back to this map here in a second. Let us know where you're from. We gotta beat the guys that were up earlier this week. We got to do it. So with V11, let's assume we've read the friendly manual.
Of course we have.
And we want a capability that we want to use. What do we do? We install. That's the next thing to do. So one of the things that I put in the community center, the upgrade guide, was actually kind of a cool thing. I actually did, and we'll go back to the video now, and I have in here, I made a video of the actual upgrade. And so basically what we're going to do now is we're just going to kind of walk through and live talk this. So this is a video playing, and you can watch this video over at the community site. But the main thing is I wanted to highlight that when I started with V10 and I'm going to upgrade to V11, the first thing I want to do is make sure I have my configuration backup done. Okay, so this is one of those things, again, you don't want to stub your toe on, right? You want to have the config backup, which, by the way, if you're looking at V11 and know where that backup is, and maybe you want to move from your Veeam server on 2012 or 2016 to, say, 2019, or put it on a physical console or virtual console, you want to change something like that. The config backup is actually the best way to do that. Have you ever done a config backup, Melissa?
I have, as a matter of fact. I think I did it. I'm trying to remember my use case. Yes, I had, and I was using my embedded backup and replication server with Orchestrator a little too much, and I wanted more servers in my Veeam 1 environment. So I split out the servers, but I'm like, well, let me just take everything with me and start over from scratch on Orchestrator. So I exported my backup configuration file, imported it into my new BNR server, and now I had 2 BNR servers for a better V1 demo.
Yeah, indeed. So it's a very versatile way if you need to not just get out of a problem, but if you want to kind of change your deployment.
Exactly.
So yeah, so we've gone ahead and it didn't let me upgrade because my console was open. Make sure you close your console and make sure all your jobs have successfully stopped and last run was either success or warning. You want to have it as good as you can going in. So then, the download's really straightforward. It's an ISO, or actually it's a zip file that has the ISOs in there. And if you come for backup and replication and you download it, there's another ISO that's in there. It's another product. Which product is that?
Enterprise Manager?
That's true. The other ISO, though.
Which other ISO?
It is not backup and replication or Enterprise Manager, but it is.
But did you download VAS or backup and replication?
Well, that's the thing. When you download backup and replication, you'll get the ISO that has both Veeam and backup and replication on there. So I highly recommend you install Veeam, even if you only came for backup. So here's the bit. Melissa and I have taken some love, and that's actually going to be our show next week. We've taken some love in evangelizing Veeam. So that is basically coming with the download. Even if you're running the free edition, I really encourage you to be using that to see what's going on in your environment. So anyways, here we go with the upgrade. We've got a license. It already has my V10 license. It's a universal license. It's just going to go seamlessly through. I love the prereq checker. If any of you have never done the install, if something's missing, it's going to add it for you. Ideally, I talk to a lot of people that deploy these often. They'll put these components on their templates and stuff in their virtual environments. It saves a step. But nonetheless, if you don't have it, you can add it. And this had a V10 installation in it before, so there was different versions, an updated version that needed to come. Oh, we got a question. Three questions. Okay, let's start with Michael's question. Are there any updates to Nutanix AHV in the V11 release? I will tell you that that's coming soon. I want to say the capability backup for Nutanix is the same in V11 as it was V10, but there's an update for that coming soon. Oh goodness. Ricardo asks about 2 other hypervisors, KVM, and I don't even know how to say that one. Do you know how to say that one? Is it the letters or do you make a word out of it?
Let me take a look.
QEMU-vert. That sounds like a Linux KVM variant. I'm not exactly sure, Ricardo. So the short answer is no. But if you have a hypervisor, Melissa, that Veeam doesn't support, what do? You
put an agent on your virtual machines and you can back them up that way.
Put an agent on it. By the way, right here on the screen, we're going to be doing a database update. And there's one important note here that I highlighted. And again, it's in the text, it's in the video, it's in the release notes, it's in the upgrade center. The quarterly restore points for GFS have been deprecated. So if you're using those, we want to make sure that you're aware of that. My recommendation is just add it up in monthlies, that type of thing, etc. The next question from Babak. Will you show a demo of CDP? Babak, that's a great question. I don't have that prepared for you. However, we'll mention this here in a second. In fact, I'll switch over there real quick on the same screen. We don't need to change a thing. Over at go.veeam.com, Babak, the launch event from the other day, we actually have the CDP demo incorporated in there, and everyone can go replay that. So you can also hear how Anton Gostev is setting up this capability, how he sees it in from a product management standpoint, and then Anthony did a demo of that. But you can watch the recording, so that's ready to go. So you can do that right now. That's a very good question, Babak. So once you go through the upgrade, Melissa, then there's a small wait point here. The services are stopped, components are upgraded. For me, it's usually 12 to 15 minutes or so to do an upgrade. Have you had different performance or different types of?
No, I've always had it been pretty quick as well.
There's only exception is if you have a lot of proxies, maybe, because those will have to get pulled as the next step when you're done if you have a lot of distributed environments. Good. I'm not going to switch to the map just yet, but we got some new countries.
We got more countries coming in.
I don't have 38. I'm going to be
definitely
in
not
trouble.
even close to 38.
Not even close. So,
but it is Friday night in many of these countries, so
well,
I don't know.
What else would you rather do?
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah. Now keep letting us know in the chat where you're from, country, and we will light up the application. But when it comes to the upgrade, right? The services get stopped, the components get upgraded, and you'll see various levels of progress here that tell you what's going on. It's very intuitive, very straightforward. The one thing I'll highlight is, having a good sense of that time. So 15 minutes is about what it took me to do. Melissa's was consistent. When you think about when is your next job going to run, you might want to just make sure that it's not going to skip a restore point. It's not so much that, right now it's not going to fail, right? If it was due, my local time is 16 after the hour. If you were due to run at 15 after the hour, during the install here, your scheduler's not running because it's being upgraded. Now that won't necessarily go to a failure, but it will potentially lead to a missed restore point. This would actually be a good thing for us to maybe script or automate, like when's the next job to run type of thing. So you could just sort by the next run column, I guess. Make sure you have at least 20, 30 minutes just in case anything goes wrong, because then you run into some kind of weird scenario if you have a restore point that was due to happen, but because of the upgrade, it didn't. You don't want to be in that situation. So just find a time where you have, at a minimum, the 20 minutes or so to do the upgrade. But any other upgrade tips you want to share, Melissa?
No, really, it's pretty straightforward. The big thing is that configuration backup in the beginning. That is like good practice when you upgrade literally any component of your infrastructure, right? Back it up before you upgrade it. I don't think any vendor is going to tell you, no, don't back it up. It's just something that you do.
Yeah, and then the other side of it is maybe if you're new to Veeam and you're going to say, okay, let me give it a try. Maybe I want to download a trial. I really encourage Veeam 1 as well to do that.
And it's the same, it's the same type of wizard to install Veeam 1. If you just want to test it out, you can start with the embedded SQL Express database, right? And then later on, if you decide, I really want to keep this thing around and use it, you can change your database to a highly available SQL database hosted externally. That takes a couple minutes too. It's not a big deal at all.
Yeah, I think that if you're going for Veeam 1, and we have some documentation on large deployments that give you specific advice. If you're over this size or that size, you'll want the database. So it's all at Help Center. So definitely check that out. And yeah, we've got an update on the application here. Let's take a quick look over at that. Thank you, those who let us know where you are from. We've got Brazil, Kenya, Ireland, Ecuador, Italy, Connecticut, Netherlands, UK, Texas, Algeria. Algeria is on there twice.
And Belgium. Don't forget Belgium.
Belgium, Norway, New York. I love New York. Oh, almost got the main of Europe.
That's pretty good. That's pretty green looking.
Yeah, I like it. South America represent.
Looking nice.
Just talking about South America. Africa, good presence there. Yep. India as well. Norway. Awesome. Thanks so much for letting us know. Maybe next week we'll have to break that record.
Well, next week we're going to talk about a lot of different things. It's going to be one of those don't miss shows.
That's true. All right. Well, so the install here, it's almost done here. This is the good part that lets you know that you're progressing towards the end. So you'll see components like the Veeam Backup and Replication server, the console, some of the different app plugins. It just progresses through. Now, one thing that you might want to think about is you might not use Amazon, or you might not use Azure, like you might use the other cloud or such. You'll see the different.
The other cloud.
Well,
some other cloud.
Well, there's Google. There's a couple others.
The cloud under my desk.
Yeah, that cloud. Yeah, the shadow cloud. But the thought here is same thing with the storage arrays. If you look closely at all these different steps, you'll see, all the different components that go into the platform are here, right? Whether or not you use them, but it actually becomes kind of handy because the moment you say, I do now need to use the cloud, it's right there, ready to go, for example. We've got a good question from, it's feedback from Jesus Garcia. Oh, thanks, Jesus. He says, we just finished upgrading to Veeam V11 this morning. It went smoothly. I want to try the immutable Linux backup repo. Good shout. And then feedback from Michael. I did the upgrade as well. Super smooth, works like a charm. Oh, Michael gets double points.
Double points.
Yes.
Veeam 1 upgrade, also super smooth. Michael, make sure to check out the new enhanced Veeam 1 web UI if you haven't already. And you'll notice that the Veeam 1 client also got some UI enhancements. Super slick interfaces. Really nice looking.
That's true. And, that's a hard thing because Veeam 1, like the web interface, right, that's good because it's aligning to some of the other products that we have here at Veeam. And it's getting modernized in that regard. And then the monitor or the
Veeam 1 client.
Yeah, the Veeam 1 client got an upgrade as well. In fact, I'm looking today. That was actually my catch of the day. I'm looking for all the little new nuggets. I got to keep looking.
I got a new nugget for you, a quick little tiny new nugget. If you look into all of your alarms, Veeam Intelligent Diagnostics got its own little icon in V11. So before it used the same icon as any of the Veeam alarms. So now the icon is different, so you immediately know if it's a VID-based alarm or not.
I want to be special.
Very random little nugget.
I want a special alarm icon for myself.
I know. Let's just get our own icons.
Here's the next interesting step on the installation. The agents, Mac, which is new, Linux, Windows, it's going to drop in those so you can push those out. That's actually part of Veeam Backup and Replication's install as well. So I always like walking through the install, watching the progress, because this will help you kind of understand what it's going to look like and feel like. And on my environment, granted, it's not your environment and it's not the most complicated, but I have VMware, I have Hyper-V, I've got stuff in both clouds. I don't have a storage snapshot integration. I've got agents.
Fix that, Rick.
We can fix it. We could. Not this environment. The other one does. This is my own personal one. We kind of have a rule. Rick labs by himself.
Yes, Rick has been kicked out of the lab for various reasons.
And just be glad we work for a backup software company. We may or may not have had to restore stuff before.
We have many times.
Yeah, so you'll see this progress. There's the Mac agent. It'll just finish through with the agents, and then it's almost done. But the thought is the install is super smooth. And thank you both, Jesus and Michael, for sharing your experience on the upgrades. That's the goal. We want that to be really transparent. The main things are have your config backup, make sure your jobs aren't running or due to run, and, give a look at the docs and stuff so that you know that what you're expecting to happen for an upgrade will just be like any upgrade you've done before. Another question from Michael. Oh, that's a good one. Does Veeam 1 do monitoring on ports? I don't think so, Melissa. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think so. I know you can look at network activity, but I could go take a troll through and see about ports. I'd be curious, Michael, maybe we could follow up in the Q&A here, what exactly you're trying to do by monitoring that port.
Yeah, that's a good point on ports there, Melissa. My thought is we could probably monitor things with the automation capabilities that come with Veeam 1. I do think I know that we could use Sure Backup, things that come in the orchestrator product to see if that port is used as part of a recovery verification technique. But anyways, the install is basically done. You'll see that those services are starting here. And because it's a recorded video, I know that it ends well and such. So I just wanted to give you guys a sense here. It's just that we have these upgrade center resources. We have the replay that are really mechanisms in place to help you go forth and have a good upgrade experience. That's really the goal. And so we've had so much effort on promoting the new capabilities, but what we kind of wanted to do with this after party here is kind of okay, it's great week, great set.
Let's get you ready for your upgrade party, right?
Yep.
Upgrade
it's an upgrade.
I used to party and upgrade vSphere back in the day. It's Friday night, we're gonna do our vSphere upgrades. To get on the phone together like a party line, do our stuff. Is that just me or?
Well, Fridays? Why Friday for that?
Because it would always be after the week.
That's true. I guess if something went wrong, you don't want to have to.
It's just back in the day, things weren't necessarily non-disruptive.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would say.
Or you had to sit and evacuate the hosts manually. Before maintenance mode.
Yeah, what did we do before vMotion in maintenance mode? I don't know. Horrible. Yeah, good point there, Michael, on the question. I don't know if we can do a port monitor, but I do think that, the broader network monitoring, that's not that's not really Veeam's focus, but you could get cute with Veeam 1. So short and sweet this week. Any other advice, Melissa, on V11, what to do next with it?
Definitely read that what's new document, because we've talked about a lot of features. We talked about some main features of the launch event, but like I said, there's like hundreds of things packed into there. And I'm talking about the Veeam 1 what's new document, the BNR what's new document. Go read them both, because there's a ton of stuff in there. And chances are, if you read it, you're going to say, hey, this new feature, it might not have been one of the ones that we talked about all the time, but this is really useful to me and my environment. So take a couple minutes. It's Friday night. Get yourself a glass of whatever beverage you enjoy and kick back with the what's new docs. I mean, that's what I would do on a Friday night, but
I don't know if I would do that.
I would do that.
Yeah.
I used to spend Friday night back in the day watching ESX YouTube videos, back in the day. So that was my Friday night.
Oh, I just got something in hot. Just got fresh information. Guess what? I asked again, what's the kind of common case summary from V11? I'll get like a summary report here. They've had a lot of questions on how do I use the archive storages? So Glacier and then Glacier Deep Archive, Azure Archive. So there's an educational option. I mean, people are like, I want to put the backups there. I just want to go straight to
send them. Just
exactly. So the reality is, and we didn't put this in the launch event, but we have plenty of information elsewhere, but we need to use the scale out backup repository. There we had the archive tier, which is after the capacity and performance tiers, right? So it's this performance capacity archive journey. I will say Edwin on our team is working on a nice paper that's kind of that end-to-end usage, but that's a good point. A lot of people might want to jump into using the Glacier or the Azure archive storages, but you do have to add the scale out backup repository first. I just got that in, so that was well timed. So, but that's the thing. A lot of times the highest volume of the cases post release are just educational. It's not like, oh, it's not working. That's not what we want to have. So, anyways, anything else, Melissa, before we wrap?
I think that's about it. Happy upgrading, everybody.
Happy upgrading. All right. One final question in from Benoit. Any plan to make the virtual lab connectivity include physical devices like at a manufacturing plant operation? Oh, that's interesting, Benoit. I don't have a future deliverable to share related to that, but I see where you're coming from, Benoit. Let me chew on that. I think you could potentially use the agent in a virtual lab, right? Because we can instantly restore a Linux and Windows system as a VMware or Hyper-V VM. We could potentially stitch that up a little bit, do some data lab in the physical servers, right? Now, I can't even spell PowerShell, but that might be part of the solution. I'm not sure, Benoit, but we don't have it like documented as a capability, but we have a lot of the tooling in place. So something to watch. Jason is up Monday with our executive decision maker themed LinkedIn Live. So be sure to tune in for that, 12 Eastern, same time, same place. But Melissa, thanks for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me, Rick. Always a party, and we'll see you all soon.
All right. Well, on behalf of the Veeam Global Marketing teams, the social media team, and a big shout out to Christian. He's been with us on the show here, one of the production teams. He's moving on to a new opportunity. Wish him the best of luck, but have a great weekend, everyone.